Please welcome our next speaker. It's my privilege to introduce Karla Reffold with the speech, Authentic and Effective Networking.
Well, firstly, hi, Dad. I can see that you're watching. But I'm going to start with a little story about how being authentic has worked for me. So I lived in America for about 9 months, most of which have been, all but 2 weeks have been during the pandemic. So we have been stuck at home and I hadn't had a chance to meet anyone. So I sent a message to a group of people, all within cybersecurity like me, a more eloquent version of "Will you be my friend?" It said, I've lived here for a very short amount of time and haven't been able to meet anybody and would like to get to know more people. I've picked people in cybersecurity, so maybe there's a personal or a work benefit to the conversation. And please save me from having to join the PTA in order to meet more people. So I had quite a few calls from that, some of which were great. Some of those people I haven't really kept in touch with, some of whom have gone on to provide me reference letters for my visa application. About a year later, I met somebody who said, "Hey, did you remember sending me this message a year or so ago? Because I thought it was very weird. It made you sound like you were committing some sort of scam. I thought maybe you were a mail order bride." So at that point, I thought, well, at least I have a second career option. And that conversation was great, but the relationship didn't really move anywhere after that. And that taught me a really great lesson, that message I sent was very authentic to me, and that the people that were right responded to it, and the people that were maybe wrong and were not really going to connect with me properly anyway had weeded themselves out. And so being authentic in how you're approaching your networking, that really cemented for me that that's the only way you can do it properly. So right now I'm mentoring somebody who is looking to build her network because she wants to move roles. And the first thing that I've told her to do, because networking feels like such a big thing to approach and such a difficult thing to undertake and to start to build, is to make a list. Just really simple, make a list of who she wants to get to know. And that for her has felt like a very achievable thing that she can do. After she's made the list, the next thing she needs to do is work out why she wants to talk to them, what's in it for her, but then what's in it for them. And sometimes you might not be able to think of that. I've certainly approached people and said, I want to meet you for these reasons, and I hope that there's something in it for you, but I can't tell you what that is right now. If you can work out what that is and to put that in the message, then I think that's great. But if you can't, then just being open about it has really worked for me. And then the most important part of this is how you keep in touch with them. So I never wanted to have a spreadsheet of people that I was connected to, because it felt very impersonal, for such a personal thing to do. But it has become very difficult to keep in touch as proactively and as thoroughly as I would want to. So I've bitten the bullet and have a spreadsheet of those people to make sure I'm talking to them every quarter. But keeping in touch is the really vital part to this process. I spend about an hour a week talking to people that approach me. I set aside that time. So I speak to 2 or 3 people a week that are new. I can think of one person that has continued to keep in touch with me for probably 2 years now. Just one out of all those people that have taken the time and the courage to approach me and ask me for some time and hopefully something valuable. And most of them then don't follow up and don't continue to reach out. And that's where the value really comes. So another little story about being in America. I moved 2 weeks later, the pandemic started and everyone had to stay home, and we lost 85% of our clients in a week. So needless to say, that didn't quite work out how I had envisaged it. And I needed to find a new job a few months after that. I did what everybody does and applied to jobs online. I applied to over 100 roles and received nothing. No interviews, not even any responses, as most of you will have experienced yourself, I'm sure. But I also spoke to the people that I knew in my network and told them what I was looking for. 3 people made 3 introductions, and I got 2 job offers from those 3 introductions. The difference in how the value that comes from that network is so significant. But you can't build it when you need it. It has to be built continuously, and you can't dip in and out of it when you need it and when you need something. It has to be something that you approach with true authenticity, genuine connections that you then want to maintain and want to keep going throughout your career. And I really believe that you can't just build a network for your own benefit. That's why, like I mentioned, I spend time talking to those people every week, people where right now there's no obvious benefit to me giving up my time. But I really believe that if I'm giving up my time because somebody feels like there's some benefit to them, then ultimately that's going to come back to me. And I can't expect people that I want to speak to and that I hope will give up their time for me if I'm not prepared and willing to do that for other people. And then the last thing for me is really how you let that personality shine through as much as possible. So I'm very active on LinkedIn, and one of the things that I do every week is talk about what it's like to be British in America. I've been doing this for a year, pointing out all the weird different things about England and America. And I've got plenty more to go, which tells you exactly how many weird things there are that are very different for 2 countries that speak supposedly the same language. So pick something. It could be anything. I know people that talk about rock climbing and dogs and yoga and all sorts of different things. They pick one little thing that is relevant to them as a person rather than to their careers or what they're selling or what they want to be known for, because it allows people to feel like they know you. And if they know you and they know the real you, because you're putting out your actual personality and not your work brand or your work personality, then I think you see significantly different results. So hopefully those stories and anecdotes have been useful and maybe made you smile a little bit too.